Hey guys, Drew here from youpickgames, giving you a breakdown of a OBS, how to use the settings, tutorial on them, guide, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I'm going to be breaking it down by category. So I'm going to have encoding, broadcast settings, video, audio, and advanced. And then we're going to go over how to do scenes and all that fun stuff over in OBS. So the first one we're going to be going over right now is encoding. Now the first thing you're going to see is use CBR. Now what CBR means is constant bitrate. If you don't choose this, it goes to variable bitrate, which is basically variable bitrate makes it so you only encode how much your scene needs. So let's say you're not doing too much on the screen, then it'll only code it like 700 kilobits for that. If you use constant bitrate though, it will always be transmitting at least your max bitrate. A lot of the times your scenes will be pretty hectic and you'll be transmitting over that, but at the lowest you'll be using this. Now the reason that I am using CBR, constant bitrate, is because Twitch has streaming standards. Now if you want to comply with Twitch's streaming standards, you do need to use CBR. If you're going to use CBR, definitely use CBR padding. Don't worry about what it is. It's just basically like it'll pad your frames a little bit and make sure if you drop anything it won't be that bad. Now the next thing you'll notice is quality balance. Basically quality balance, the setting determines how well your video can adapt to constant change in the screen. One, meaning that it will constantly look like your quality will look really bad all the time, but no matter what's going on the screen, it'll be able to keep up and it won't change the quality. 10, you'll have great picture quality all the time, but it's just not gonna change. It's not gonna adapt to anything on your screen. It's gonna lag a lot. There's gonna be a lot of lost pixels. For most people, I would suggest anywhere between a 5 to 7 quality balance. I use a 6 because I have pretty hectic games that I play, but it still keeps the quality looking nice and not really that bad at all. Custom buffer size we'll talk about in just a second. That goes along with max bitrate. Now max bitrate is basically, as long as you're using CBR, that's basically how much upload speed you're going to be using to transmit your video to the internet. Now the first thing that you should do before you start working around your max bitrate is you should go to speedof.me or any kind of speed test site. I like Speed of Me because you actually get to see a real, it's a better assessment of your internet. You download basically 8 different file sizes for your download, which doesn't matter whatsoever for your streaming, but you upload one file to the internet for your upload instead of just the other websites. They don't make you upload or download anything, so it's not very realistic. They just kind of push to see how much you can get. So anyways, I have 3.4 megabytes, which is 3,480 about kilobits, which is, kilobits is the unit OBS uses. So basically, what you want to do is, now that you have in mind what your upload speed is, now think of what resolution you want to be broadcasting in. I broadcast in 720p, and for 720p, anywhere between 1500 to 2500 is basically that 720p, that's where it starts to look real nice and crisp. Now you do have to realize that when you set your bitrate, that is the bitrate you transmit over the internet, and that is what your viewers have to then, that's the speed they have to get, to be able to watch your stream. So some things to keep in mind are, one, that sometimes upping your bitrate doesn't necessarily improve the quality of your stream. For instance, when I started streaming, I used a 2500 bitrate, and I found that if I dropped my bitrate by 300, not only did my stream not look any worse than it did at 2500, but that I could stream. I didn't have to use as much of my bandwidth. My viewers, it was a little easier on them. 300 kilobits is definitely a noticeable jump in bandwidth, so that's something to think about. You can check the resolutions and bit rates associated with the rest of those, but that's something you can Google. I'm not an expert on 360, 480, and 1080p resolutions and what bit rates associate with them. Now we can finally go back to the use custom buffer size. Basically, the buffer size is if you drop a frame and you have, let's say you buffer 2200, well, 2200 is your max bitrate, so you buffer a whole frame of your cast, just in case, or a whole second, I should say. So let's say you know, you drop a you know, like a second of your cast, and your buffer size, you know, was a whole second, then you wouldn't have dropped any frames actually, because the buffering would have already done it, and it would have just been like, oh, little hiccup, don't worry, I got the rest. You know, we had a backup, and you know, we backed up a frame for you, so you're all good. Most people suggest not messing with this, but if you do want to mess with it, most people would suggest that you either match your maximum bitrate or you double it. Moving on to the audio encoding, basically your two codecs that you could choose in OBS are MP3 and AAC. MP3 and AAC aren't even like, it's not even fair to have both those options, because AAC is just the clear winner. It's a much better codec. So don't even choose MP3, don't even try. AAC is much better. Now, if you're complying with Twitch standards, the bit rate that they want you to use is 160 kilobits per second and up. Most of the time, you'll either have 112 or 128, but for Twitch's standards, just go with 160. There's no real perceivable distance between 160 and 320. Trust me, you can look it up in the internet to see the different codecs, but there's no difference whatsoever. And the last thing on the encoding page is the format. Now, the one that you want to use is 44.1 kilohertz. Both of these will comply with Twitch standards, but honestly, the problem with 48 kilohertz is that it requires more bandwidth to use it, and once again, there's no perceivable no perceivable difference between 44.1 kilohertz and 48 kilohertz. So just choose the 44.1, save yourself some time, save yourself some bandwidth, and yeah, there you go. So thanks for watching the encoding part of my OBS tutorial. Look out for the broadcast, video, audio, and advanced sections of the tutorial. Other than that, I hope it helps you. If you need any more help, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Thanks.